Good evening, my sweet BUNS. We are back with Bedtime Stories offered by Gyepi. It is time to continue her world adventure. Here with my new friend, the blob of kindness and peace. He is here to help us. Let's go. Okay. Proceed with the story. We should the mysterious woman discover the truth. Still, there are so many things that are unclear in this story. I believe we are still like at the prologue, literally, because we didn't obtain that many information just yet. This World of Ruins Part 3. After scouring the area for a few more crystals, we were at the elevators before I knew it. Not just one, but two. I thought as though we'd passed by the same place quite a few times. So why were we only finding this now? It was like they had just appeared out of thin air. One of the elevators was so rusty, it looked like the doors were going to fall off at any moment. And there was a dark red handprint on the floor in front of it. Creepy. The other looked relatively new, making it stand out in a rather odd way.
그래서 말인데.
So, yeah?
네가 타고 온 게 어느 쪽이었는지.
Do you remember
기억해?
which one you took? It was the old one. It was a little difficult to have to suddenly comb through my memory. But all that stood out was the fact that it was tinted with this strange red hue. I had my doubts if it would actually work, but when Hyuna pushed the button, the doors opened with a grating sound of metal on metal. Something about the air coming off the floor here felt colder than that of the hallways. If I get on, I'd be able to go back?
잘못하지만 않으면.
As long as you don't take the wrong one. Her voice had gone low once more. Ah, why do you have to sound so menacing like that?
정말로 확실해?
Are you sure?
이 엘리베이터야?
Was this the elevator? She didn't sound like she was playing. It sounded like picking the wrong one would have dire consequences. I replayed the scene over and over in my brain. I could remember wandering down the street, entering the hospital and taking an elevator. That weirdly old elevator, it didn't seem to match the ultra-modern look of the hospital. But did it look this old? I had my doubts.
길은 당장이라도 추락할
Why would
것
you
같은
take an elevator
엘리베이터는
that looks like it
맞았대.
might plummet down the shaft at any moment? I must have lost my mind for a moment there. I tried to get on the elevator, leaving Hyuna, and her seemingly forced a laugh behind me. She had a hold of the hem on my shirt. Yes, Miss Hyuna? She seems concerned. When I looked back, I saw that Hyona's head had drooped. I couldn't see her eyes since they were covered by her bangs, but it seemed like she had something she wanted to say. There was like this unshakable desperation in the air. It stretched on for some time. Then a smile spread across her lips, and she looked up. It was a smile no different than the one from before. Miss Hyuna?
저기
So, are you
이대로 돌아가도
okay going back like this?
괜찮겠어?
What is that supposed to mean? Will something bad happen if I do?
그건 아니야.
No, it's not like that.
그냥
It's just I wanted to know if you really wanted to go back. Isn't that a given? I've got to be getting back to when I go back. If I go back. My hand instinctively went back to the phone in my pocket and grabbed hold of it. There was no reason for it to ring anymore. Everyone was blocked, the power was off, but still,
돌아가면
if you go back,
뒷수습 해야 하잖아.
you have a lot
안
of
그래?
cleaning up to do, isn't it right? Huh? Hyuna took one step closer. I turned away without realizing it. What are you implying?
너
Today,
오늘
before
여기
coming
들어오기
here,
전에 뭔가
you
크게
made a horrible
잘못한 일
mistake, didn't you?
있지 않았어?
Fiona had a scary gleam in her eyes. It felt like she was drilling right through me with that gaze.
오해하지 마.
Don't get the wrong
범죄자를 의심하는 건
idea.
아니니까.
I'm not suspecting you of being a criminal or anything.
넌 그럴
You don't
사람이
seem the
아니지.
type.
하지만
That being said, you wanted to run from your problems. I think you wanted to leave it all behind. I have no idea what you're talking. Memory loss? Fiona hammered a fist into the spot on the wall right next to my face. Fiona, smaller in stature than me, suddenly looked larger than life. Then Fiona,
오늘 헤어졌지?
you broke up with her, didn't you? The person you were dating.
그리고 죄책감을
Then you felt guilty and ran, huh? She dropped her next bombshell on me. Who gets so torn up about breaking up with someone?
너.
You do. Do I look like that much of a wimp? Yep. I don't feel the least bit guilty. She was the one who wanted to break up in the first
그게
place.
진심이 아니라는
You
걸
know you don't
알았잖아.
mean that.
한두 번 들은 게 아닐 테니까.
I bet she said that a few times now.
그런 식으로 연애
It's
주도권을
relatively
빼앗으려
common for
드는
someone to take the lead in a
비교적 큰
relationship.
넌 싸우기 싫어서
I bet you did whatever she
해달라는
asked
걸 다
just because you
해줬을
didn't
거고.
want to fight. It only lasted a moment. I never could have imagined what else would stress me out that day. But then she started with the words, "We should break up." On any other day, I would have growled and apologized, saying sorry over and over. The word I heard dozens of times every single day. But instead of saying sorry, which was how I usually started my day to appease her anger, I surprised myself. Okay, real truth. And I heard show from behind, sharp as a knife, slicing clean through me.
그러니까 반은
See,
네가
it's
잘못했어.
half your fault.
연애 관계는
Relationships
밀고
are
당기는
all
거야.
about back and forth.
사랑하는
I can clearly see that you were just holding it all in because it was someone you loved. But just pretending to be so understanding like that,
버릇 나빠져.
it's a horrible habit. Her voice hinted that she was angry for some reason, like something had been piling up within. Why was she scolding me? I'm grateful for you saving my life and all. But why is someone I just met today trying to interfere with my love life?
처음이라.
Just met.
네 쪽에서 보면
From your perspective,
그렇겠지.
I guess that's right, huh? Besides, what makes you think you know so much about me? Is that the ex-girlfriend? Speaking of which... Huh? Hold up. Yeah? How did you know that?
뭘?
Know what? That we broke up today.
아차차.
Oops. Hyuna suddenly looked like a deer caught in the headlights. What? No way. What is it? How do you know? I want details.
야,
Before anything
일단
else,
진정해.
just calm down. You really are a ghost.
아니라니까.
We've already been over that. I'm not. Stay back. I quickly jumped back. I raised both arms to the ready and tucked my chin.
지금 네가 뭘 생각하든
Whatever idea you've
그게
got is
아니야.
wrong. Then how did you know that?
아니 너
Well, it's just
나도
you're
방금
acting like
헤어진
someone
것처럼
who's
하고
recently
있잖아.
been through a rough breakup. You'd have to know I was dating someone to reach that conclusion, wouldn't you? I could have just been turned down during a blind date or something. Hyuna put one hand to her forehead and pointed at me with a finger on the other.
폰에 커플 사진 달린
If a
남자가
man with a picture of him and his girlfriend hanging from his phone
그게
is wandering
헤어짐이 아니면
around,
뭐야?
looking bummed out, wouldn't you expect that the two in the picture had just broken up? Ugh! I tore the accessory with the picture in it from where it was dangling on my phone and threw across the room. It looked as though it was going to take a while to get rid of last traces of her.
폰에 사진을 달고 다닐 정도로
People who care so
애인을
much
신경
that they
쓰는
have
사람이
pictures of their lovers hanging off their phones are known to wander for long periods of time in strange places.
의도적으로 폰을 껐어.
But your phone's also off.
연락할
That
생각이
means you
없는
have no
거야.
desire to contact that person.
그런데도 무슨
And yet, how many
몇
times
번이나
did you
폰을
accidentally
들여다보려다
pull out your
알았잖아.
phone and have to stop yourself?
연락에 즉시
You've got into that
대답해야만
habit
하던
because
내
someone
습관된
expects you
거지.
to answer their calls immediately.
애인한테 잡혀 살던
Without
사람이
that,
방금
guessing that someone just
헤어졌다.
broke up with a later
는
domineering
예상은
lover
충분히
makes sense,
가능하지
huh?
않겠어?
But then why'd I come to a hospital?
멘탈 깨져서
You were
거리를
just so broken up
방황하다
that you wanted to
아무 데나
find somewhere
들어오는
off
거야?
the street wherever that place may be, no? I could have been hurt, you know. As I said that, Hyuna got close and stuck her hand in my pockets. Huh? I took a big step back.
이 병원은
At this hospital, you're supposed to take a number and wait for them to tell you where to go.
근데 넌
But you don't have a number slip, do you?
있지 않네?
Maybe I was just visiting a friend.
입원실은 옆 건물이야.
Inpatient rooms are the next building over, not this one. She crossed her arms, then she pointed out that I didn't have a visitor's pass either. So how did you know I wanted to run away?
아까 문 너머에
The thing
있던
on the other side of the door. That was the face of your ex, right?
지금 그 누구보다
It will be the face of the last person you want to see right now. Was that some sort of a phantom? A grin lit up Hyona's face. It was the grin of someone who somehow knew everything. There was no way she could read minds, right? I tried to send her the thought, I know you can hear what I'm thinking. So? Or not. However, I had the feeling I was going to lose if things continued like this. Had to take a cool-headed approach to this. Or your guesses make sense, but so do a whole lot of other ones. Instead of thinking I'd broken the whole thing off, wouldn't it make more sense to think I just had a fight with my girlfriend? This is a big hospital, so I might not have known about the admission system here and just been wondering. And as for a picture from a relationship that ended long ago, maybe I just couldn't be bothered to take it off. How in the world? How'd she hit the answer that's spot on? Maybe I had things backward. She wasn't making her guess based on the evidence. She knew the answer beforehand and was trying to find the evidence that backed it up, wasn't she? It was like she was hanging at my side, watching everything. If she did know, how? What had I done since arriving? Oh, that crystal, maybe that thing. Hyuna had a faint smile on her face. She twirled her hair in one hand while she thought, then approached it once more.
말을 할 때 중요한
When you
건
talk with someone, the important thing
그 말의 내용이
is not the
아니야.
words themselves. Huh? She was talking nonsense again.
중요한 건
The important thing is
그
the
말을
purpose
하는
of those
목적이지.
words. Don't you agree? Hey, don't change the subject.
예를 들어
For example,
방금
if I
내가
get the
한
other
것처럼
person all confused just like I did.
당황시키면
Huh? She put her hands to my chest and she showed me. Hard.
자기가 어디로
You can lead a
가는지도
person
모르게 할
somewhere
수
without
있어.
them knowing where they're going. Oh my god. My back touched the smooth metal wall. There wasn't a spot of rust, the interior and buttons were all clean. No. This was the other elevator. When had she led me this way? Then... Before I had time to react, the elevator door closed at a remarkable speed. Huh? She doesn't want us to leave this place? Miss Hyuna? Out of shock, I hit the emergency stop button again and again, but that did nothing to stop the door closing. What? What did you...
여긴 존재하지 않는 세상이자
This is a world that doesn't exist, all on the other side of an oblivion no one is aware of.
도망치고 싶어서
You came here because you wanted to escape, but this is no paradise.
여건이 아니야.
Hyuna ignored my protests and continued her monologue. The elevator doors were now too far closed to squeeze through.
잘 가.
Have a nice trip.
이렇게 직접
Being able to
대화할
have
수
such a
있어서
direct conversation with you.
너무 좋았어.
Honestly, it was great. What exactly was going on here? I had no idea what situation I'd gotten myself into. What was this place even? Was this elevator really going to bring me back? You No matter what button I pressed, no matter how hard I tried to pull the elevator door back, it wouldn't stop closing. My strength did nothing to stop it. Didn't this elevator have any safety measures? Miss Hyuna, wait a second! What's going on here? Hyuna didn't respond, choosing to turn away instead. The elevator began to rattle violently. The vibrations seemed to be coming from all directions. She seems to be pissed because I wasn't sincere, or some sort of that. Why are you doing this to me? This is the elevator that will take me back, right? Please say something. Anything.
하지만
I'd love to, but... Hyuna popped back into view, her voice now
더
trembling.
시간 끌면
If we drag this out any longer,
내가 나쁜
you're going
생각을
to
할
get the
거야.
wrong idea about me. There was a deep-seated grief in her smile. Why was she saying those things? Why was she looking at me like that? As I realized that I didn't have the faintest idea what was going on. The elevator door, it closed the rest of the way. For a moment I thought it was going to get pitch black in here, then a red light came on. I had no words to say, I couldn't move a muscle, as if the rattling before was all one big act. Only silence filled the elevator, and then... something grabbed my hand. Crap! Huh? It was small, like the hand of a child. It felt like it was stroking the back of my hand, but there was no human hand there. Oh, the girl we saw outside before. A bright red raincoat. It covered a still figure, its small face staring at the ground. The hand, painted in shadows, was sticking out from the red material and had latched onto my hand. Was that a small girl? In the dim light that filled the elevator, I couldn't move a muscle. I was frozen solid. You little Oh my god! The child was nothing but a red raincoat. Her hands were like mist. Even so, the feeling of her holding my hand was so real. What are you, you vile devil? What are you doing to... My heart was pounding like mad. Her immaterial hand was still resting on the back of mine. Then the girl slowly began raising her head. Then red raincoat began slowly drooping around her. If she lifted her face just a little more, I'd get a good look at it. A little more, a little more, a little more. For some reason, that face, I felt like I was going to recognize it. That's what crossed my mind when... No! The girl melted. Huh? The elevator let out a ding, a sound that felt so out of place as the elevator door began to open. Are we out? Beyond that open door once again, there was the lobby of the hospital brimming with life. 5th floor, that's what it read. Hyuna, the melted girl, that petite hand that had been gripping mine, they had all disappeared. I let out a long sigh. I grabbed the back of my hand as if I could still feel the touch.
그야 알지.
You know,
얼마나
I've been hoping for so long,
하지만
but
그렇다고
I probably shouldn't be leading you on like this, should I?
안 되는 거겠지?
So there's no button for a fourth floor in this hospital, instead the 5th floor button is right next to the 3rd. I'd heard that old buildings use it to skip labeling the 3rd floor because the pronunciation similar to the word death made it unlucky, but apparently hospitals still did that. I went back and forth on the elevator from the 3rd to 5th floors, even trying the stairs at one point, but no matter how much I wandered, I couldn't find the floor I was looking for. After going up and down, I realized something. The elevator door didn't look the least bit decrepit. Plus, it didn't look like either of the 2 elevator doors I'd seen thus far. Well then, I remembered the picture I'd snapped of the collapsed buildings and looked through my photo album. It was like I'd covered the lens with my hand. There was nothing but the black of my screen. I couldn't figure it out. Was it all a dream? When a person is driven to the most extreme of circumstances, they may see things and create false memories. But had I really gone that far? It was just too surreal, even for a dream. I was chased by monsters created in a hidden lab inside a university hospital, only to be saved by an older female friend wielding a knife and a good deal of relationship advice. What sort of a delusional story was that? Meeting someone better right after getting out of a difficult relationship is something that doesn't happen in real life. Maybe I should just try therapy next time. I left the hospital and got on a bus that would take me back home. As I looked at the scenery through the window, I realized it was still bright outside. I thought I'd been wandering around all day long, but that couldn't have been the case. Not long after turning on my phone, it started vibrating. The screen said it was an unknown caller. When I answered it, it was none other than the woman I'd just broken up with. I blocked her number and her ID from every messaging app, so she must have grabbed a friend's phone. Our conversation was nothing out of the ordinary. You crazy? You lost your mind? If you keep this up, we're really truth. You know how much you hurt me. Apologize. If you don't want this to be over, you better start groveling. The usual. It was all based on a long, hard to come to terms with story. All in that tone I'd heard hundreds of times over the course of a relationship. However, it was based on a pattern of speaking we'd said before officially breaking up. What do you mean? It's already over. Go be happy, go meet someone better than me. I hung up the phone and blocked the number too. I'd been so clingy just the day before, but now none of it seemed to matter. As if something had shattered over the course of a single day. When you get that feeling that things are building and building, eventually something's going to explode. However, I was much more concerned with the hallucinations I had experienced earlier. I just needed to get home, forget about this, exercise, and hit the hay. I shoved the phone deep into my pocket. What a pleasant life I was living. The trees lining the street looked so beautiful as they flitted by the bus, though I couldn't think of why I thought that. What a mystery, to think that this unknown landscape was turning into something I knew. All I had to do was lift up my head to see that the world was so beautiful. Why did I always keep my head down, oblivious to everything around me? Seeing all those phantom beings, dreaming of Hyuna, all of that might have been part of the process of shedding my old mindset. I dismissed it all as one big delusion and rested my head against the window of the bus. The top floors of the hospital slowly sank into the distance. Their colors were oddly muted. Whoa. Go on this quest. 2 memory shards, a man apart, danger 2. Avoid the creatures and collect shards. If I collect the memory shards, I can return to my world. I'm not sure if that's okay, but I don't have much of a choice. Proceed with this quest. Okay, let's try it once again. Quest, a man apart. Okay, let's go over here. Creatures stalk our characters and each inflicts a different amount of damage. Dude, that's creepy! Each character has unique characteristics and movement abilities. Some might even chase you down until the quest is complete. Yaba! Scary! Hacking run! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my. Get out! Oh! Memory shards are scattered about the map. Collect all the shards required to clear the quest. I'm about to cry here. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. Also, they can chase me out of the room. Okay. Where am I supposed to go? No! No! Stop! Hacking. No! No! Wrong. Wrong path. Wrong path. Wrong path. Go away. Get out! Wrong path again. Am I an idiot? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Run. 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 But isn't that a door? Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. I missed one shard, or... Is this the room from before? Something feels wrong. Okay, the other shard. We got them. Oh! That was scary. Ah, so those weren't episode. That was the episode 1 we played before, and this is the episode 2. I thought the hashtag 2 was like episode 2, but it is like the second part, second section of a single episode. Okay, my bad. Was it all really a dream? And if it wasn't, no shards on completion, proceed with the story. Let's see if we can check some sub-stories. Nope. quest. Cleared. What about the skin? Oh. Would like to purchase this skin? Yes. Yep. Okay. I'm not sure of how to unlock these sub-stories. I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused here. How do I actually play them? Not sure. Let's go on to the episode 2. Hyona's World, Part 1. I hear the sound of a siren. It's the siren of an ambulance, probably transporting someone who got hurt. I could smell blood in the air. As the chill tickled my cheeks, I opened my eyes. Oh, this room again. Here I was in this dark room, illuminated only by the red exit signs. It was hard to figure out what the red walls on all sides were made out of, and there were 2 doors on opposite walls facing each other. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I was sitting on the floor, leaning back against one of the walls. Why was I here? I was doing something before. I wriggled to my feet, wrested control of my limbs, and got my thoughts straight. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Then, a few steps in front of where I was standing now, I could see a figure turned away from me. The figure looked human, even though it was sitting down. The figure looked so small. Was it a child? Only the faint light coming through the crack under the door shone on the figure. It was wearing a raincoat. Scribble, scribble, scribble. The child was still, all except for that left hand, writing something on the floor. Incessantly writing on and on and on. I just watched it stuck in a foggy haze. Then, just as my body stepped forward of its own volition, the child stopped. She rose to her feet, her body as stiff and still as ever. It looked as though the only movement was the strange wriggling of her long dangling hair. As I approached, she turned to look at me. There was no face there, just a shadowy darkness where her face should have been. How can you scribble like that with no face? I wasn't going to let up until I had an answer.
잊어버렸어.
I lost it. Her voice was calm. In fact, there was no emotion at all in her answer. She lost it, so if you forgot your face, it would just be erased? Then she walked over to one of the walls and resumed her drawing. If she couldn't see, what was she so adamant about drawing? Scribble, scribble, scribble. When I got close, I saw that it was Korean characters, not pictures. It was hard to tell what it said with all of the ink dripping down the wall, but there was a pattern. After trying my hardest to decipher the writing next to the dim light, I managed to figure out one sentence. It hurts. Please open the door. You want out? I directed my question at the girl. Yeah. The girl nodded. Her blank face was locked on mine as she pointed at one of the doors. On the rusty lock, there were signs that someone had been scratching away at it from the inside. Was that the exit then? Who would lock up a kid? No way! Was it just because she was missing a face? Move to the side. I stepped back a bit. Then I gave the ancient door a hard kick. It felt a little like breaking a man's bones as I sent the door crashing to the floor. There, it's so... I was about to brag, but... The space beyond the busted-down door was hazy, seemingly filled with a thick fog. I carefully reached my hand out and felt a resistance like a current of water. For some reason, I thought I could pass through it, but that the girl could not. Though I had nothing to base that on. The faceless girl looked disheartened, so I What do we have to do to let you cross through?
도와줄 거야?
You're going to help me? Yeah.
왜?
Why? Because I'm older than you. She stared blankly at me, despite having no eyes. She said nothing, only pointing to a spot on the floor. There was a faint glimmer. One of those crystals was lying there. Was it actually the crystal lighting up the place?
주워줘.
Pick that up for me. Why should I?
도와준다며.
You said you'd help. I mean, I'd help you do things you can't do yourself. I think you can manage to pick that up on your own.
내가 주울 수
The only things I
있는
can pick up are ones in the rainy world.
여기 있는
I
거
can pick things
붙여.
up here. Huh? As I questioned her, she hopped over toward the lamp of light. She moved her hand as if to pick up the crystal, but her hand just swept through it like it didn't really exist. Was her not being able to touch it part of her having no face too? Sorry. I reached out and carefully picked up the crystal. It was sort of like glass in some ways and a stone in others. The girl was up on her tiptoes, face sticking out to me. What?
먹여줘.
Feed it to me. Since she had no face, I couldn't tell if her mouth was open or not. I stuck the crystal where I roughly believed her mouth would be. The red light started slowly disappearing as if it were being absorbed by a black void. For a second there, I thought I could see the girl's face. It looked as though she couldn't touch it, but she could swallow it if someone fed it to her. Although I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be feeding her stuff off the ground. Since you said that you can cross through too now?
응.
Yep.
오빠야가 옮겨주면.
If you move me. Come here.
응.
Okay. The girl came to me, arms wide. I gently lifted her and squeezed through the white mist that seemed to be blocking our way forward. The resistance hit my whole body like a strong headwind, trying to blow me away. I just ignored it and pushed it through by force. The girl was quivering like she was ill and had her head buried in my arms. I wrapped my arms further around her and stepped forward. Then suddenly, as if a wind had stopped blowing, the resistance let up entirely. Okay, we're through. As soon as I said that, the girl burst free from my arms. She didn't look back once. The girl disappeared, red raincoat fluttering behind her. No face, no manners. Kids these days, all the same. That sounds a bit wrong. No face? Kids these days? Looking back, I had a clear view of the room we just escaped from. Had the fog blocking our way disappeared, the girl's abundant graffiti was dark red, as if it had been written in blood. With how sticky it looked to be, it was hard to tell, and... Whoop! From the door across from the one I'd broken down, someone started banging. It sounded like whoever it was wanted to break through. Could I just leave it like that? I decided to catch the girl who'd run away and ask her. I started walking down the oddly twisted-looking hallway. It felt like I was sinking into a pile of mud on the floor. No, wait. It wasn't that the hall was twisted. My legs were melting, spreading out across the floor. It was more like my body was made of mud. The darkness that engulfed me didn't seem to be from the late hour. Was it that my eyes were melting away? It's that kind of day. Instead of walking, I slid along the floor, following the girl's footsteps. Each print had a clear line between it. And the next one, as if water was flowing from the girl's shoes. After following her path for quite some time, I finally found her. It was the girl in the red raincoat, lacking a face. At least I knew it was her, but like me, she also seemed to be slowly melting. And also, I saw someone else. A shadowy figure. This one stood at the height of a normal person. The hallway definitely looked twisted, like something had gone horribly wrong, but the shadow was different. The strangest thing was that the shadow appeared solid at first. It was hard to tell which direction it was facing, but it looked to be facing the girl. Its back to me. Did that mean she had already found a way past the shadow? I wanted to stand there a moment and figure out what was going on, but I didn't have the time. The shadow picked up a long object. It looked like a long metal pipe, but I couldn't tell through the shadow. Oh no, is this like... Are we witnessing the scene from before and the girl was that monster we saw? That's messed up. Then the thing lifted the metal pipe, looked down at the faceless girl and... Hey you! Right before it could start swinging, I jumped at the figure. I took the shadows back and threw it to the floor. Just because the kid didn't have a face, he was going to hit her. What a bigot. The next moment I had the shadow in a full back mount. My body was so much more flexible than usual, it was like I didn't have a bone in my body. And we are taking the part of the other slimy figure that blocked us. So trippy. The shadow struggled and shouted something. The thing felt about as strong as me, but when strength was equal, my having his back gave me an overwhelming advantage. With me having the body of this pivot shadow tied up, the girl took off toward the elevator. As the shadow continued its fruitless struggle against me, I suddenly started to question things. What was I doing? Where was I? Was my body always like this? Why was I able to so easily dismiss the fact that the girl had no face? Wasn't something wrong about all this? Why was I just taking everything that was happening as a given? As if things had always been this way? I felt lost in my own head, like someone waking from a dream. Then, the moment I saw that long black hair fluttering about, I felt the cold heart steel. It sank into my heart. Feels bad. Yeah! As I felt myself tossing and turning on top of my covers, I finally managed to open my eyes. I checked to see if there was a gash in the left side of my chest where the chill remained. I'm truly engrossed in this story pacing over here in the storytelling of this game. Like, it has truly a horror plot itself, but it is portrayed in a very twisted way, with calmly yet very crooked and distorted, slow pacing and all. I really liked how the writing was done here, how the story was arranged. It is quite trippy, it must have had a lot of thought behind it, I believe. Also, as mentioned before, it reminded me of Sayonouta. It gave me Sayonouta vibes at the part where right now I realize it, that the monster was actually us and the other girl. Like in Sayonouta, we saw the opposite, like flesh-made monsters out of people, etc. I won't spoil the game. Yes, so quite a cool concept here. I also like how the game is quite confusing, yet everything falls into place slowly. Yet not really falls into place, but still, some parts do start to make sense, that's it. Still have to discover so many things here. I checked to see if there was a gash in the left side of my chest where the chill remained. Phew! I let out a long sigh. It was just a dream. Thank God. The grotesquely twisted world of my dreams only felt disturbing the moment I woke up. When I was dreaming, it all seemed so natural, but how? Sometimes that was just the case. Me in my dreams, at times he had completely different memories and sensibilities from me. But why did I dream about that? Because of everything that I experienced yesterday? Though I still wasn't sure if that in itself was dream or reality anymore. I picked up my phone to check the time. I had slept in quite late, but fortunately the semester had ended a week ago. For vacation classes, I'd only signed up for a few internet lectures. Fun fact, to me these regular daily scenes do appear more surreal than the messed up part from before, somehow. It seems less natural now, and it gives me more uneasiness, to be honest. For a while, I was going to be okay lazing about a bit. I threw away my reality, unlike the bizarre scenery inside the dream, was peaceful. I had switched off my phone earlier, so I had down the power button to turn it back on, confident that everything would be fine. I got hit with a barrage of missed calls and texts from a variety of unknown numbers. It seemed as though my ex hadn't come to terms with the situation. That's quite creepy. Oh, also, Fox Plushie, is he a fan of me? I just blocked the numbers without checking what the messages said. Then I fell back onto my bed. I gave my muscles a nice long stretch. I brought a hand up to feel my forehead and the back of my neck, cool and dry. Just yesterday afternoon, a single phrase she spoke out of frustration had caused me to break out in a cold sweat. Was it just the fact that we'd broken up that was allowing me to rid myself of all this emotional baggage? I felt so light and free. Shall we head out? It was more annoying than anything, as I had read before, they who go feel not the pain of parting. Dwelling on someone who's gone for good is a waste of time. How about I go find something else to be absorbed in so I can forget all this? Oh, this is actually Gyepi was thinking about a lot recently. How to not waste my time, doing nice things, the things I have to do. I try to focus myself a lot more on that than before, even though I used to do my best every single day, to be quite honest. I hadn't been to the gym in a while. I checked messages from my other friends and group threads, getting rid of the unread sign and responding appropriately. As I did, I took a shower, got dressed, and got ready to head out. Then I put on the jacket I'd worn yesterday, and right when I was checking out the way it fit in my full-length mirror, I checked out the back of the jacket in the mirror, and there, as if someone had kicked me in the back, was a footprint. How come? Not that I'd ever been treated for any sort of psychological condition, but I'd heard about hallucinations from an acquaintance who had been treated for those symptoms. Contrary to public perception that delusions are purely visual hallucinations, or the sense that you're walking through a dream, they say that people experiencing hallucinations can see, hear, and feel what they're experiencing. When the symptoms get bad enough to require treatment, that's when it's the most difficult to distinguish between hallucination and reality. However, no matter how high quality the hallucination and how hard it may be to distinguish between the two, there was one fact that could not be changed. Hallucinations could not leave footprints on clothes. Oh, it was the girl's footprint? After getting off the university hospital elevator for the 5th time, I took a photo with my camera of the footprint left on my jacket, checking it again and again, having grabbed a few passerby and asked them if they could see the mark. In the end, I concluded that the footprint was not the product of any sort of hallucination. This isn't dirt or water, the footprint is black and it looks to have been the result of a hard kick. The fact that it's right here in front of me, it means none of that was a dream. The landscape filled with ruins, the strange forms that attacked me, the giant that stared at me from the other side of the door, Fiona wielding that knife of hers. The reasonable argument that none of that could exist, and the concrete proof right in front of me stood at odds with each other. My mind was racing and my heart was pounding for some reason. The fear of approaching something I knew firsthand was terrifying, was losing out to the adventurous spirit that wanted to figure out what was going on here. Actually, to be perfectly honest with myself, I was in need of a job that I lose myself in. This mystery bringing me back to my middle school days was the perfect incident to do just that. I got on and off the elevator for the 6th time, but there was still no 4th floor to be seen. I may have been starting to look suspicious at this point. In the end, of course, I was unable to return. Under what conditions could I get back? Did I have to go through another breakup to return? A bell sounded. It was the sound letting everyone know another hour had passed. Judging from the number of rings, it seemed to be right around the time I'd been wandering around the hospital yesterday. Just in case, I got on the elevator again, right as the bells were fading, but nothing special was there to greet me. I thought that was going to work. What exactly did I need to do? I returned to the first floor, packed full of people, and stood in a line as I pondered the answer to that question. As I thought back, I could remember that elevator door looking quite old before I stepped foot in it. So, getting on this snazzy new elevator was a waste of time, no? Anyway, there were so many people waiting to ride the elevators. I was definitely alone yesterday. So, was riding the elevator alone one of the conditions? Maybe the time frame, the hour that I rode it, I followed an elderly woman onto the elevator. A swarm of others pushed in behind me. I didn't even have time to check if there was a button for the fourth floor as I was pushed into one corner of the elevator. Another losing ticket. How long did I have to do this? Was it really all just a dream? Whoa, I had no idea what floor it was, but right as the elevator came to a stop, the swarm of people got off. Are all these people getting off here for a checkup? Right as I thought that... What? The elderly woman was nowhere to be seen. It's too late for regrets, so I've got to be fast. Part 2 of the second episode. Oh my, where just a moment ago there had been a bunch of people waiting, there were now those black objects in their places. Right where the people riding the elevator had lined up, there was a line of something else. Slowly, lazily, the line moved forward. A viscous liquid looking to be a mixture of blood and organs dripped from the bodies of the black creatures to the floor. I've gone insane. Why was I trying to get back here? How did I suddenly get here? What strange requirement had I fulfilled? The bell. Just past noon, so it was around the same time as yesterday. There, I said it, it was the time frame. No, wait, it couldn't be. Can I only reach this place once a day? So it needs 24 hours to cool down. Oh, that makes sense. I had no idea. If it was just about a certain time passing by, why did everyone else disappear? Was I the only one let in? The black things moved in a group once more. With no thought of running away, I moved with them. One step forward. Stop. One more step forward. In no time at all, a large line had formed behind me. A chill came over my blank slate of a mind. Unlike yesterday, the black creatures weren't coming at me right away. Did they have no intention of attacking? No, more likely... With a gargle of their dripping organs, the black creatures moved once more, one step at a time, as a group, moving as a line. The ones at my back pushed me from behind, probably wondering why I wasn't moving. I moved one step forward, and the things behind me followed suit. I'm sure if these things, they haven't realized that I'm human. Was it because I hadn't spoken, they did not have eyes? The ding of an elevator arriving sounded from time to time. I walked one step forward each time, as if I was waiting for my turn for something. If it continued like that in silence, these things would be none the wiser. As I pretended to be one of them, I thought about what was going to happen when it was my turn. What should I do then? These things, where were they all going? Stood on my tiptoes and peered up toward the front of the line. I saw the one in front glide into a dark hallway. It disappeared into the darkness. Seems like the main character still doesn't realize that those are the people from before standing in the line. Got to keep my cool. Got to keep up the act that I'm one of them. Haven't been caught yet. I'm fine. I'm fine. How many seconds? How many minutes? How many hours here? What insane situation had I gotten myself into? If I needed to set my head straight, why didn't I just go to the beach or something? Why was I making things harder for myself? Because you want to know what is going on. Right? Before I knew it, the line had advanced considerably, and I could see one creature at a time vanishing into the hallway ahead. Another black creature slid into the hallway, then entered a room marked with a red handprint. Then... Bang! The door slammed shut. From under the door, as a terrible sound filled the hallway, something flesh-colored, peppered with red, flowed out. It was like thick ramen noodles. No, that wasn't right. It was more like mashed up brain matter. What the hell? There was something like that in the black things before, but that wasn't the important thing. But my hands shot up to my mouth to trap the scream that wanted to come out. What happened? Was it crushed? Was it chewed up and spat out? What just happened to that black thing? Accompanied by the raspy whine of metal on metal, the door opened once more. The line moved forward as a unit. I moved forward with it on shaky legs, helpless to do anything else. The hands covering my lips felt as cold as blocks of ice. I can't be in this line anymore. I removed my hands and took a deep breath. I took a step to the side, moving to get out of line. The second I moved, all of the things in line turned to look at me. I smoothly slid back to where I had been in line. If I stood here, it was over. The moment they realized that I wasn't one of them, it was over. They had all turned their attention to me the second I got out of line. So my only option... kill them all. What the heck? Are we gonna do it? I took note of where all the black things were around me. None seemed wary of me. They must not have caught on the fact I was human yet. I searched desperately for something that I could use as a weapon. A metal pipe. There was a metal pipe laying there, but like last time, it looked to be more rust than metal. I bent it until it snapped. The snapped ends were quite sharp. Good, sticking them with the pointy end is sure to cause some pain, even to these things. Even if it didn't kill them, they wouldn't be able to move very well. If I used one as a shield and tried to run... Just as I was thinking my plan might work, one big concern I thought about earlier came to mind. What if I've lost my mind? What if this was just a hospital? What if these people were all normal and they just look like this because something snapped in my brain? There was one news story about a person driving his car into a bunch of people on the street because he suddenly thought the people looked like zombies. Was that what was happening to me right now? Seems like so. I thought about the elderly woman in front of me earlier. This was a hospital. It was full of patients. If I ran around killing everyone, it would be a horrible tragedy. Okay. I feel like I'm losing my marbles, but I've got to keep my cool. I just needed to wait patiently, and when my turn was up, I just ran down the hall instead of into the room. Correct. These animations are kinda funny. Like you see these zombie-like monsters jumping around a bit in order to move. Looks kinda cute somehow. Another black thing went into the room and the door closed. The red liquid flowed out from under the door again. I wonder what the liquid is. There were 4 more in front of me. Once they all had their turns, it would be mine. Got to pretend to be one of them, stay cool. I just walked toward the door, then turned and ran down the hall. If getting out of the line is what gets me caught, I just have to pretend to conform to whatever system they have going on here. Great. Almost there. I'd like to know what actually is going on over there. Like, if they are people, they can't just be killing them, right? Still sounds suspicious. Very much so. Then, there were no more black creatures in front of me in line. I took a slow step. I glanced behind me, but I saw no response from the others. I still had them fooled. My heart was pounding like wild. I was covered in a cold sheen of sweat. The door was finally right here in front of me. I could see something red through the small crack in the door. What was that? What was going on in there? What could be inside? I ignored the perilous urge to find out. Then I passed by the door. I walked slowly down the hallway, lined with its cracked tiles. On the far side of the hall there was an intersecting hall where I could dart around the corner. In the center stood a large mirror. I used the mirror to check behind me. The black things in their line showed no reaction. The door didn't move. I saw another one of those black creatures approach the door. Were they just going to let it slide without issue? Was I okay? I just had a little bit more to go before I could turn the corner, then I could find a place to hide and go back to the elevator once they were all gone. Whatever was on the other side of the door must have made it impossible for them to leave. Passing it by must not have drawn their aggro. Good, I did it. Now to get out of here. Oh, a new girl? Female student. At that moment, huh? A person? For a moment my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. I didn't feel glad to be seeing a person here. She was wearing the uniform of some school I didn't know, with a zip-up jacket. She was also bandaged up in a few places. She was dressed pretty normal and matched the hospital setting well enough. But there was one big problem. The mirror. The huge mirror hanging in the middle of the hallway. The student wasn't sharing the same space I was. She was looking at me from inside the mirror.
안녕, 오빠.
Hey there, friend. The moment I paused, the student took her phone from her pocket and...
혼자 어디 가요?
Where are you going all by your lonesome? Her voice is nice, sounds lively. From her phone's camera, a bright flash. Oh my! From behind me, I heard a roar. Where once they'd been standing calmly in a line, the black shapes shifted into hideous forms. They were all rushing this way in a wave. Hey, you piece of... I gave the mirror a swift kick, not caring what that might do, but the crazy girl had already disappeared. Where'd she bounce off to? Never mind that, got to get out of here first. I took off at full speed as I tried to clear out those confusing thoughts from my brain. Run, 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 don't look back, don't you ever look back. I heard a loud thud behind me. My back was sprayed with some kind of liquid. I don't want to imagine the horrible scene playing out behind me. I turned a few corners. Okay, maybe this place layout is similar to the actual hospital. Then if I just go down the stairs, I reach the exit leading outside. Whoa, there it was, the Rajturos made of glass. I have no idea what's waiting for me out there, but anything is better than this hospital. I wouldn't be that sure about it, as I sprinted with all my might toward the exit right then, there in front of me.
우리 또 보네요.
Hey friend, fancy meeting you again. Here she was again. On the other side of the doors, up on her tippy toes, was the girl and she was raising her hand up towards something. No way. Hey you!
왜요, 오빠?
What's wrong, friend? Don't you dare lock that.
부탁하면서 반말.
Don't you dare. How's that for asking a favor? Please.
싫은데?
And what if I do dare? You little... The door wouldn't budge. What a punk, she really locked it. The nerve. Open this door, now. I said open it, now, punk. The girl was laughing at me from the other side of the door. She wasn't making the slightest bit of effort to hide her mocking cackle. Don't do this to me, open up.
나 그런 거 열줄
But I don't know
모르는데요.
how. What are you trying to pull, punk? What school do you go to? And why are you being like this? I gave the door a few hard kicks, but it showed no signs of cracking. Was it reinforced glass? I looked back. They hauled the stairs behind the far desk every which way. The place was packed with black creatures, and they were all dragging their feet in my direction. There was nowhere to run. The black things were closing in on me. If I stayed here and tried to kick down the door, they'd have my back in a heartbeat. If I was going to die, I wanted to get one more hit in. But I also wanted to tangle with that sneering student on the other side of the door. What could I do? I searched the floor. There wasn't anything lying there that could break the glass. Should I back up and take a running start?
어? 싸우게요?
What? Going to fight?
오빠가?
You against them? I ignored the girl who was trying to draw my own aggro, raised my fist, and shifted my feet. I tucked my chin, I took a deep breath, and took a step back, leaving a single step between me and the glass. This position at least prevented me from getting attacked from behind. Those things reacted to the flash of the camera, but before then, they hadn't noticed that I was different from them. If I could cause some sort of a commotion before digging into their ranks... The closest black creature rushed at me, swinging its tentacles like fists. Nothing easier to catch than a looping swing from the right. I smacked away the first blow with my front hand, ducked in close, and threw an uppercut at what I thought was its head. At first glance, their bodies looked quite far from normal, but considering what I saw come from that door, they must have had brains. So if they had a weakness, it was probably the hip. Ooh. I felt the black creature's body go limp. Like a person taking a shot to the chin might have their legs go out from under them. The black thing collapsed in a heap. Did I just hit a human? For a second there, it felt like it. Right when I thought that, an exceptionally large beast rushed at me. There was a thick tentacle under it that reminded me of a leg. I stepped off to one side and sent a kick to something like a knee to try to get it off balance. However... what? The thing wasn't a single entity but a clump of smaller ones. As the stack collapsed, they pushed me up against the wall. But why? Why does it feel like I'm being pushed by a bunch of people? This doesn't sound right to me. Where the things were pushing me, I saw a doctor. Right when I stuck my hand into the slightly ajar door to try to escape, I saw it. At the bottom of the door, a red handprint. Ah! Overcome by a dizzying sense of urgency, I pulled out my hand. I rolled away from the door, hit with a significant amount of pain as I did. Just a moment ago, from behind the door, something grabbed my arm. It felt like a human hand was pulling me. Ugh! The thing attacked once more, knocking me to the ground. This was no soft arena floor, and the pain I felt hitting that hard floor was considerable. I was still in shock that the thing that had grabbed me was clearly a human hand. I had no idea what was going on, but... As I lay there, sprawled out, the first one got on top of me. I didn't have arms, but it had something resembling sleeves. I planted one foot firmly on the ground and turned sideways, sending a hard kick to its upper body as I swept it. The black creature was sent tumbling. I kept hold of its arm, if that was what it was, and let its falling weight pull me back up to my feet. Good, if they feel like humans, all the techniques I use on people will work. I quickly turned and escaped the swarm of lurching creatures. I had put some distance between myself and the glass door. I couldn't see anything like a large rock nearby, but a small piece of stone had lodged itself in the sole of my shoe. I raised my arms to cover my face. Instead of smashing it, I had another idea. I was going to aim for an edge instead of the center, hoping to send the whole thing flying. If you don't want to get hurt, I'd suggest you move. I rushed at the door and gave it a hard flying kick. Huh? The girl cocked her head, surprised by my unexpected move, then... My foot went straight through the door, sending a piece flying. Yeah! was reinforced glass so it didn't all shatter at once, but I gave the edges of the hole a few hard kicks. Before long, there was a space large enough for a person to crawl through. "Get over here." I sent a fist through the hole and was about to climb out when... "I'm going to bury you."
사람
Are
맞아요?
you really going to
힘이
hit a girl?
그렇게 세?
A strong man like you? The camera flashed it again. I rushed forward to get my hands on the girl. However, she wasn't behind the glass door. It was as she was in the space inside the window. Then... With that point like resistance hitting me right before my eyes. A school? There were old wooden floors and ancient-looking ceilings. It felt like I'd submerged my head in a pool of water. Huh?
거길
How did you get here? The girl had fallen over in surprise and was now holding onto a door to try to right herself. But what was this? Where did this school suddenly come from? How did this... Ah? Something grabbed me from behind and pulled. Before I had time to resist, I was sent running to the floor. In front of me, I could see the hospital corridors and the broken glass door once more, before I could make sense of the situation. The black beasts that had pulled me back were surging like a wave. I've completely lost it now! After that, I passed out. I awakened to the feeling of being dragged somewhere. Someone was pulling me along. In my semi-conscious state, I managed to open my eyes a bit. The hospital? This hallway? There she is. It was like I dozed off during the first period. My head was that fizzy. I had no idea how long I'd been dragged along. The blurred ceiling, silky hair grazed my neck. I thought I felt those cold soft hands touch my fence and... I jumped up in surprise. My face felt like it had been pricked with needles. "Ah, what are you doing to me?" I sent a reproachful glare at the familiar woman in front of me.
그러게.
"Who goes around smashing
일을
through
깨고
glass
다니래?
doors?" Hyuna grinned as she showed me the glass shards she'd pulled from my face.
마, 여기도 있네.
"Ah, one more over here. Hold on, I'll just..." Hey. "Ah, that stings.
그 덩치로 왜
You're a
그렇게
little
엄살을
large to be
심해?
crying like a baby, don't you think? Have you ever had shards of glass sticking out of you?" "Sure have." Oh, the most natural thing to do, I guess, having shards of glass in your face. Since I had my hands up, I managed to protect my eyes. But the rest of my body was covered in shards of glass, with a few were embedded in my clothes as well. Even with safety glass, I had ended up like this. If it had shattered like in the movies, it hurt just to imagine. A little blood flowed out of each of the spots where the shards had been. I ignored the stinging sensation, wiped away the blood with my hand, and had a look around. Was this a hospital room? In terms of how much rubble there was, it was pretty close to the state of the hallways, but it seemed to be in good enough condition for someone to use as living quarters. Water bottles and other equipment lined on one of the walls. It wasn't hard to see that Hyuna was using this as her base of operations. And on a high-up shelf, a familiar-looking smartphone. Was that my phone? I snatched it up and showed it in my pocket. As she blew on the stinging wounds, I thought about how fortunate I was not to have lost my phone in the brawl. Anyway, why was I still here at the hospital? I clearly remember seeing something like a school as I was being dragged along half unconscious. "Ah, I'll do that. So you should listen to your elders. It's really fine, I just...
어허.
just stay still, okay?
아니 뭐야?
What?
내가
You don't
해주는
like
게
me
싫어?
taking care of you? No, it's not like that." Hyuna dabbed at my wounds with a cotton alcohol swab. Every time she moved, her hair brushed against me. As before, her hair smelled oddly sweet, like a black cherry scented diffuser. Okay, so we're about to read the third part of episode 2, but I think we did go through quite a piece of story this time again. So it is time that we stop here for now and we will proceed the next time, okay? This was the second part of her world playthrough, aka Gyepi's Bedtime Stories. Are you enjoying this game so far? How's the story? Are you finding it intriguing as well? Because I surely do. This is Her World by Tale Shop Developers, a Korean indie visual novel. I hope to see you around next time as well for Bedtime Stories offered by Gyepi. And for now, have a good night.